You told a lie this week. Maybe a small one, maybe a big one. And somewhere in the middle of telling it, some part of you hoped you'd get caught. That sounds wrong. It sounds backwards. Why would anyone want to be exposed? But the real answer is far stranger than simple guilt. It has nothing to do with morality. It has everything to do with how your brain was built long before lying even existed as a social tool. Think about the last lie you told. Maybe you said you were on your way when you hadn't left the house. Maybe you said you loved a gift you actually didn't. Small lies, forgettable lies. And yet, notice what happened in your body. Your hands got slightly warmer. Your voice changed pitch just a little. You looked away, or you looked too directly at the person, overcorrecting. None of that was an accident. None of that was carelessness. Your brain was leaking the truth on purpose. Psychologists call this self-sabotage and deception, and it shows up far more often than most people realize. A landmark study by psychologist Bella DePaulo, who has spent decades studying the science of lying, found that people tell an average of 1 to 2 lies per day, and most of them are small, low-stakes social lies. But DePaulo also found something stranger underneath that number. The liars in her studies consistently leaked discomfort, even during lies that carried almost no risk. They weren't being interrogated. No one suspected them. And still, their bodies betrayed them in small, visible ways. What's even stranger is what happened when DePaulo's research subjects were asked, afterward, how they felt about the lies they'd gotten away with cleanly. You'd expect satisfaction. A clean lie, after all, is a successful one by any practical measure. Instead, many described a lingering unease, a sense that something was left unfinished, even though nothing had gone wrong. The lie worked exactly as intended, and it still didn't feel like a win. So here's the real question. If a lie is truly low risk, and no one is even looking for cracks, why does your nervous system act like you're standing in front of a firing squad? The answer starts in a part of your brain most people have never been taught to think about, the anterior cingulate cortex. It sounds technical, but it's simple once you decode it. Think of it as your brain's internal alarm system for conflict. Not conflict with other people, conflict within yourself. When you lie, 2 competing instructions fire at the same time. One instruction says, protect yourself, maintain the lie, stay consistent. The other instruction says, tell the truth. You are a social creature, and social creatures survive through trust, not deception. These 2 instructions clash, and that clash produces measurable stress, even when you're not consciously aware of feeling stressed at all. This is why lying, even successful lying, often feels exhausting. You're not just managing a false story. You're suppressing a louder, older signal that's been wired into you since before language even existed. Here's where it gets stranger. Humans didn't evolve in isolation. We evolved in small tribal groups, where reputation wasn't just a social nicety, it was survival currency. If your tribe caught you lying about something important, like whether you'd shared food fairly, or whether you'd seen a predator nearby, the punishment wasn't embarrassment. It was exile. And exile, for early humans, often meant death. So your brain built something clever. It built a system that makes deception feel costly, even when you're getting away with it. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar, known for his research into social bonding and group size in early human societies, has argued that trust and reputation were the actual glue holding small communities together long before laws or written rules existed. Lying wasn't just risky because you might get caught in the moment. It was risky because your entire social safety net depended on people believing you'd tell them the truth. This means the discomfort you feel when lying isn't a personal flaw. It's an ancient alarm bell, still ringing thousands of years after the wiring was installed. But there's a deeper layer to this. It's not just about being caught by other people. It's about something happening inside you. When you lie convincingly enough that no one notices, you don't actually relax. Many people report feeling worse, not better. Why would getting away with something make you feel worse? Because part of you is now holding two separate realities: the story you told and the truth you know. And your brain, which constantly tries to build one coherent picture of who you are and what's happening around you, doesn't like holding two versions of reality at once. This is sometimes called the burden of constructed memory. You're not just hiding a fact. You're creating an alternate version of events that you now have to remember, defend, and keep separate from the truth. That takes mental energy. Constant, quiet, draining mental energy. So when you get caught, something strange happens. Relief. Not just embarrassment. Relief. Because being caught collapses the two realities back into one. You no longer have to hold the lie and the truth separately in your mind. You no longer have to perform consistency. The exhausting internal split is suddenly over. This is why people often confess to things no one was even investigating. This is why some criminals leave subtle clues behind, almost unconsciously, that lead investigators straight to them. This is why, in close relationships, people sometimes drop hints about an affair, a secret, or a mistake, almost as if part of them wants the truth to surface before they consciously decide to reveal it. Self-sabotage during lying isn't a coincidence. It's frequently your nervous system trying to end an internal conflict it never wanted to maintain in the first place. This shows up everywhere in modern life, even outside of major confessions. Think about small lies you tell at work. I already started that project. Notice how often you bring it up again later, almost checking if anyone noticed the gap. Think about lies in relationships. I'm fine. And then, minutes later, you can't stop sighing. Or you bring up something slightly related, almost daring the other person to ask deeper questions. You're not trying to get caught on purpose, but some part of your nervous system is quietly steering you toward resolution, because unresolved deception costs your brain more energy than most people are consciously aware of paying. There's also a modern twist to all of this. In ancestral tribes, lies were usually about resources, safety, or loyalty. High stakes, but simple stakes. Today, most of our lies are about image. We're not lying to protect food or shelter. We're lying to protect a version of ourselves we want other people to believe in. This means your ancient lie detection alarm system, built for tribal survival, is now constantly being triggered by things like a white lie about being busy, or pretending to enjoy a meal you didn't, or exaggerating a story slightly to sound more interesting. The stakes have shrunk dramatically, but the alarm system hasn't shrunk with it. You're running ancient hardware on modern social software, and the mismatch creates a strange tension. A tension between wanting connection and wanting protection, between wanting to be liked and wanting to be known. Consider how this plays out on social media, a setting your ancestors never had to navigate. Every curated photo, every slightly exaggerated caption, every living my best life post during a hard week is a small act of impression management. Psychologically, it functions almost identically to a lie, even when no single fact is technically false. You're not fabricating events, you're omitting the parts that complicate the story. And yet people still report a strange hollow feeling after posting something that isn't quite true to how they actually feel. That hollow feeling is the same ancient mechanism. Your brain registers the gap between the presented self and the real self as a kind of internal inconsistency, even if the audience never notices it. There's no tribe member standing over your shoulder accusing you of dishonesty, but the alarm fires anyway, because the system wasn't built to distinguish between a lie told to a hunting party of 12 people and a lie told to 1,200 followers online. To your nervous system, exposure is exposure. This also explains a pattern researchers have noticed in long-term relationships. Couples who keep small secrets from each other, even seemingly harmless ones, often report a subtle erosion of closeness over time, even if the secret is never discovered. Psychologist Anita Kelly, who has researched the psychological cost of secret keeping for decades, found that the act of concealment itself, separate from the content being concealed, predicts lower well-being and lower relationship satisfaction. It isn't only the lie that hurts the bond, it's the ongoing mental labor of guarding it. This is why people in long relationships sometimes find themselves confessing something years after it happened, even when the relationship has remained intact and stable since. The original event has long since stopped mattering practically, but the internal division it created, the splitting of one shared reality into what really happened and what my partner believes happened, continues to hum quietly in the background. Interrogation rooms feel oddly familiar, even to people who've never been inside one. Television has trained you to recognize the dynamic instantly. A single light, two people across a table, one person holding a truth the other doesn't have. What rarely gets discussed is why these scenes feel so universally tense, even to viewers who have nothing to confess. It's because every human being recognizes, on some pre-verbal level, the specific discomfort of holding information that creates distance between you and another person. You felt a smaller version of that discomfort in ordinary rooms, across ordinary tables, with people you love. This is also why total honesty, even when it's painful, often produces a strange sense of lightness afterward. It's not just emotional relief, it's cognitive relief. Your brain stops running two parallel stories. It returns to managing just one reality, which is what it was built to do efficiently in the first place. So the next time you feel that subtle urge to over-explain a lie, or bring it up again unprompted, or leave a small inconsistency that practically invites questioning, recognize what's actually happening. You're not weak. You're not a bad liar. You are a deeply social creature whose brain still remembers, on some old and wordless level, that truth was once the only currency that kept you alive inside your tribe. You told a lie this week. And somewhere in the middle of telling it, you didn't just hope to get away with it. Part of you was hoping to be found.